Welcome back, and this is still Sunrise, and I have to thank you for staying with us this morning. We're moving on, and we're going to look at communication. Communication is the bedrock of our existence as humans, but what is paramount are the skills to actually communicate. What does all that mean? It means that you must talk one to the other. Don't leave the other person guessing what's in your mind and you believing that the other person knows what's in your mind. If you don't tell that person will not know. And that may cause friction in your relationship, whether it's mother and child, husband and wife, friends. Communication is important. So how important is it? And what does it do to a relationship, no matter what that relationship is? These are the kinds of questions I'd like to put to Mrs. Bridget Eleshi, who's a life interpretation coach.
Yes.
Good morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
As well as Mr. Uthman Abdul Rashid, who's a business leadership coach, who is joining us from our studio in Abuja.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Abdul Rashid.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Well, they always say ladies first, so let me begin with the lady in the studio in Lagos. So, in human relations, how important is communication?
Kate said that communication is the lifeblood of every relationship. So you know what the blood does to the body. If you don't have blood, you're as good as dead. So if you want to make sure that you're effective in passing on information to people, whether you're a parent, you are a spouse, you're an employee, employer, a leader, you must learn how to communicate and connect. So it's not just communication, because a lot of people will talk, but they've not made any sense. They've not communicated.
But you're jumping
They've not connected.
Before you get to connection first,
Yes, so you need to know how to pass across information. And Laura said something when she was talking, and she said this, that I'm not in your head. So when you're communicating, I don't understand what you're saying until you make it known. So there's the way you communicate until the receiver understands what you're saying and can say, is this what you're saying? And I understand what you're saying. That's
And
when
I
you
confirm.
communicate. I confirm that it's true or I agree. That's when you've communicated. So if you're talking and I don't understand what you're saying, you've really not communicated.
So a lot of us do talk, but we're not
Communicating.
Okay, Othman, let's bring this to you. Define communication for us in the plainest terms, what it is.
So I think basically communication is about passing across the intended message, right? So if you are communicating, if you're trying to communicate with someone and you haven't been able to pass across the message that is in your heart to pass, then you haven't really communicated. And the amazing thing with communication is it's really about the other person. It's not about you. So imagine if I come here now and I'm speaking a language that you don't understand, right? Have I communicated? No. Because in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm passing a message, but I haven't communicated. Now, communication and connecting, as she said earlier, is about the other person, if you're able to connect with the person. And I think that our different personality styles really define how we perceive communication and how we can also pass across communication as well. So if we're able to understand how the different personality styles interact, then we can communicate better. So a husband can communicate better with his wife, a father can communicate better with his son, a boss can communicate better with his subordinate as well. And especially even in business, right? Communication is very important because as a business leader, if you are not able to communicate your vision, if you're not able to communicate where the direction of the company is going, then really and truly you haven't, communicated. So I think communication is about passing across the right message in the right way that this recipient can get it in.
Staying with you, Othman, do I need any special skills to be able to communicate adequately?
Well, I think you don't need any special skill, but one thing that you need to be able to understand in communicating with people is because communication is all about the other person. So once you're able to watch and take into cognizance how the person is reacting to what you're saying, then it'll be easier for you. So imagine, so there are things like micro suggestions where you're talking to someone and then the person just moves his eye in a way. And if you don't catch it, you won't be able to know that what you just said has sort of maybe upset the person or is not sitting well with the person. So I think the most important skill is for you to be able to be in tune with the person that you're communicating with. Understand the person first. So you don't really need any special skill, so to speak.
Bridget, what he's saying here implies that communication, even while I'm talking, while I'm passing across a message, there's something coming from the other end as
Your
well.
body language.
So it's a two-way street. So
Yeah.
does it then mean that communication is not just about what you say?
It's not just about talking. Talking is like 7% of what you're saying. You now talk about the tone of your voice. Then you talk about your gestures, the way you maybe your expression, how you look, what you're saying. There are people that will say something. Okay, there's always traffic on this part of the road. I say, Lagos people always traffic, even when there's no traffic. So even without saying anything, if you will understand that I'm like not agreeing with what you're saying. So your gesture communicates a message. It's saying either yes or no to whatever you're saying. So when he said your eyes communicate. Even the perfume you wear communicates something.
Okay.
Perfume you wear.
Yes, the perfume you wear. There are people that will look forward to somebody walking past them like, I like what you wear. Your perfume is communicating something. It could be masculine, feminine, but it's saying something. The dress you wear. There are people that will always dress like you, even if they are going for business meetings. That is their style. They want to dress African. So they don't care where they are, whether they are in Nigeria, they are outside the country, they dress like that. So their dressing is also communicating their personality. So it's beyond just words.
Example, Conjure Well.
Mother and child.
Mother and child.
How the mother uses eyes all the time.
Yes, oh, yes, the way you talk. You have a guest in the house and you offer the guest a drink. And the guest is saying, oh, bring your cup, come and share. If you know your mother very well, you know her body language.
You look at her first.
You will look at her first and let her wink. And like, I've seen a child that told the mom, Mommy, why is your eyes shaking? Because the woman kept winking and the boy refused to understand that. She was saying, don't drink it. And she was like, Mommy, why is your eyes shaking?
Oh, boy.
She shook him later. Because
she would.
yes, you were not supposed to take the drink.
With a few strokes.
You've been warned not to take this drink. But he kept looking at her and she was winking. And he was just asking, said it out a lot. Mommy, why is your eyes shaking? She didn't say a word.
In church, one of those days, you know how church service ends and children are running around in church. They are free. So this man was sitting, we were in a meeting and he was just sitting there and his children were running around. So what he did was he just, and his children froze and quietly walked to somewhere.
He had
and
communicated
sat
to
down.
sit.
He did not say
A word.
The other people were, hey, come here. You know,
He had communicated. He didn't have to say a word.
Okay.
So that was communication.
Oddman, that thing about what the other person says, let's look at everyday life. In our sphere, for instance, you find out that people are having conversation. The three of us are here, we're talking, meanwhile you're on your iPad, and the other person is Alera is on her phone, and this other person is the one listening.
God.
How do we communicate? How do you communicate in that kind of situation where the other person you're talking to is on their device? Do they even understand that it's a two-way street?
I think what you do is for you to be able to communicate with someone in a way that will capture their attention. Now, you will agree with me that there are some times where someone is talking and you're not even really listening to the person, right? And then there are some people that no matter what you want to do, they will captivate you. So I think it's important for us when you're trying to communicate with people to stay above the noise, to be able to captivate them. And the only way that you can captivate people is for you to discuss what is of interest to them. Because really and truly, communication is about the other person. So if you understand the other person and you know that, okay, this kind of thing interests the person. So I'll give you an example, right? Imagine I come and I'm talking about football, right? Anybody that is interested in football will listen to me no matter what, right? But if the person that I'm trying to communicate about football to doesn't like football, the person will not be interested. So, for example, like me personally, I'm not really much of a football fan. So, if you are communicating with me and you're talking about football, you might lose me, right? But if you talk about other things that I'm interested in, then you will have my attention. So, I think it's incumbent on the person that is trying to communicate to find common ground, because communication and connecting happens on common ground. So, if you're able to find common ground with the person that you're communicating with, then you will hold their attention. So I think really and truly, that's the onus is on you that is trying to communicate, to find common ground and find the things that interest that person. Then you can talk. If you see a woman with a kid, right, and she's on her phone, you know that, okay, she's interested in talking about kid stuff. And then so you can talk to her about kids. If you see a guy and maybe he's wearing a jersey, for example, you can use that as a touch point. And even salespeople, they do that a lot. When you come in and they're trying to sell to you, they will profile you first and say, okay, what can I use to get, sort of like common ground and communicate with the person?
Yeah, Bridget, communicating with children these days, 21st century, the millennials, is very difficult because they're more often than not, they're on their phones,
Device, yeah.
24 hours, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, this, that. So how does a parent get the attention of their child to be able to communicate with them on a continuous basis?
Yeah. The first thing is you have to be in their world because it's about them as well.
So I have to be on Twitter as well?
To an extent, you have to find out where they're hanging out. And for a mother, you need to understand one thing about children or even young people. Food is a big deal. Drinks, and then being able to talk. Give them undivided attention and listening. We as mothers, we see things
But they don't
that
want to talk to you. They want to talk to their friends on these devices.
No, but because you've not started with talking. I talk to parents a lot. And so do you have values that you hold dear as a family? So if they know, if they are groomed that way to know that we need to talk. There are times my son is talking to me and I'm on my device. And he'll say, Mommy, no, you're not talking to me. Look at me, Mommy. He will be 12 soon. And he's telling me, look at me. Most times my husband will roll his eyes like, you do that to me. When you're talking to me, you're on your device. But now this boy is asking, give me your undivided attention. It's the same way with our children. Sometimes they want to talk to you. You are too busy. And you tell yourself, oh, I'm a multitasker as a woman. That's not fair. Because at the end of the day, we are multitasking and leaving what is important. So if they know they have your attention, they know they can talk to you at any time. That when you come and say, Mommy, you say, what? And you drop that thing. Sweetheart, how are you doing? What is it? Or if you know that you have a time, I tell my children, if I'm in this mood, don't come to me because I'm doing something. So whatever you say, I can easily say yes to it. And you know that will not be fair on me. Maybe I'm watching my favorite soap opera. And my daughter, I have a daughter that knows that time. And she'll just come, Mommy, I want this. I won't even think, I'll say, go. She'll come back later and I'm like, what happened? Why did you take this? She said, but Mommy, you answered me. You said yes. I said no, because the time you came was a time where I was distracted. So when you want my undivided attention, you come to me at this particular time. So once you let them know, and then as a mother, go to their space. Even if you are not interested, get uncles, aunties to be in their space. And don't go to Facebook commenting everything. Good girl, good boy, my baby. Don't do that. You will embarrass them because their friends are reading their comments. So by the time you go, yes, you can once in a while pass some good comments. Other times, see them at home and, oh, I love what you posted. Very good. You don't have to comment. You can like without saying a word. But some mothers, I want to be your cheerleader and go and say inappropriate things and you embarrass them. They will block you. It's easy. They'll just block you.
Okay. That thing about communication, before we'll come back to you, Othman, let me stay with you, Bridget, here.
Yeah.
When you talked about children,
Yeah.
I have 3 children.
Okay.
So I had to tell myself, the moment they are coming, it's time to drop whatever it is you're doing. Stop.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're running, stop. Hear them. Answer them,
Yes.
then move
Continue.
on.
Give them undivided
Give them undivided
Yes.
attention. But that can be quite difficult. But where I was going to go, which you answer after the break, and Othman will weigh in on that, is the communication between spouses. That's a major one. And then colleagues at work. But we'll talk about that when we return from the break. Thank you for staying with us. We're almost out of time, but we still have a few minutes to talk about this. How to improve the way we communicate. I'll start out with you, Othman. I was talking about the communication between spouses and then colleagues at work. Sometimes it's difficult. You find a husband will tell you, I want to talk to my wife, but she's on the phone. Or the wife says, I want to talk to my husband, but he's watching a football game. I know you talked about using trigger point. But how can we improve on this? We've almost lost our humanity to our devices. So communication is wasted.
True. So I think what we can do, right, is to define so let's even start with couples, right? I think what's important is for couples to define a space where is, device free, for example. So you can say, okay, you know what? So at dinner, no devices. Let us talk. Tell me about your day. I'll tell you about my day. And you can now even build it up to, now say, okay, on weekends, breakfast, no device. Because the truth is, whether we like to admit it or not, we are all addicted to our phones. Right? We are all addicted. We are always on our phones. And the funny thing is, a lot of people think that is only with the generation of now. But I saw a picture recently that showed people on the bus, right, in the olden days, and they were all reading newspaper, right, which is the same thing as our devices now. So really and truly, the human brain has always been, fascinated with things that will take you out of where you are right now. So the idea is for you to be able to disconnect, even if it's for 1 hour in a day. So you just say, okay, you know what? At home, 1 hour, during dinner, no phones, no devices. Let us communicate, me and you, no issues. I think that's the best way to go about it.
That also work in the workplace, in the office.
Yeah, so in the workplace, right, it's intricate because, and the funny thing is that you spend most of your time with your colleagues. You spend at least 8-7 hours a day with your colleagues. So they are the ones that you spend most of your time with. To me, I feel like the best way for you to communicate with your colleagues is understanding what that person is passionate about. And then, like we said earlier, connect based on those trigger points. And once you do that, really and truly, you'll be able to enhance your communication. Also, I feel like emotional intelligence is something that we all need to be more aware of. So whatever emotions you're feeling, you need to be able to step away from it and look at it as a third party. Are you blowing things out of proportion? Because at work, we always see this thing where, someone sends an email and then you react in a way that you will regret after a while. So it's important for us to be able to disconnect from what we're feeling and really assess our feelings at that point. If you're able to do that, you see that you connect with people. Also, one last thing, right? Especially with colleagues, don't connect only at work, right? So we have that thing where we just come to the office, yes, please kindly find attached, do kind regards, all those kind of things. But once you leave work, that's all. So you see, if you're not able to even connect with people outside work, on a Saturday, just call your colleague, hey, how are you doing? Send them a text. I hope you're having a great day. Happy birthday, that kind of thing. Once you come back to work on Monday, you will see that the connection will be deeper.
Definitely.
Bridget.
Yeah, for spouses, like what he said, it's good to have a time, even for the family. Like in my own family, when we're going to church on Sundays, we pay attention to ourselves. So we're in the car and talking, okay, how was your week and things like that. When we come back from church, it's also the time to sit and eat together. So when we're eating together, we're able to talk.
No devices?
No devices. You talk and then you learn something. These days, it's just my husband and I, semi-retirement stage, as an empty nesters. So we find time to connect by talking with each other, watching. But what I will always tell people, even if they're colleagues, learning the 5 love languages is very, very key. There are people that love affirmation, words of affirmation.
Affirmation?
Yes.
1. 2.
Quality time.
Okay.
Act of service.
Okay.
Some people, gifts. And then there's the last one, I'll remember it. But then those 5 things, what it will help you do is, if you know somebody that likes compliments, when you come in and I'm like, oh, your hat or your cap looks very good, you're looking nice, I will say thank you and not just walk past and stop to talk with you. You already know. That is affirmation. Same thing with husband and wife. There are women that will do their hair for 1 month, their husband has not even seen there is a new style and is just looking at you. But the day you don't do that hair, he will say, you're looking so rough. But when I did the hair, you never said anything. The person that will shout over that is the woman that wants affirmation. So when you see her, compliment her on her clothes, compliment her on the way she looks, that is a point to communicate with her. Somebody that loves quality time or acts of service, they just want you running errand as a spouse. Help me do this, help me do that, help me in the kitchen, help me with the children. When you do that, they are in a better position to gist or talk with you. And so you've gained their confidence and they can talk with you. If it's somebody that loves gifts, you have to give something to the person. It's not about a big or something expensive. It's giving something that is meaningful to the person. Maybe the person is talking about a new book. Oh, I've not read this book. You go get the book, you give the person. That will be an avenue to talk, and from there, you communicate better. But we must also understand that we must learn how to listen actively. Some of us just talk.
Yeah.
And you don't even wait for the person to finish and you jump in.
Festus Akimboewa says about 80% of communication is listening.
Yes.
Yes.
It has
Agreeing with you.
has a big role to play.
Listening.
Active listening.
Let's define listening as we look at this thing about connecting. Othman, please, you're weighing on this. This is the last question we're asking. Listening and then connection. How do you listen? How do you connect? Real quick. We'll start with you and we'll come back with Bridget. Othman?
Okay, so listening, right? What you do, I think the first law of listening is to look at the person that you're talking to. So imagine if you're talking to me and then I'm looking somewhere else. Even if I'm listening to you, or rather I'm hearing you, but I'm not listening. So listen, right? Actively and also participate. So you don't even have to shut the person down, but it can be words of affirmation. Yes, I can hear you. Go on. And then ask questions intermittently. That shows that you really internalize what the person has said. So I think those are the things that you can do to, listen better.
How do you connect in communication, whether listening or talking? How do you connect?
Okay, so how you connect really is so when you listen to someone, right, and you are able to internalize what the person has said, and you profile either a solution to the person, or you, at that point, like she said, the love languages, right? If the person is a gift kind of person, and maybe you gift the person, and if the person is more like affirmation kind of person, based on what you've heard from the person, you affirm the person, right? It will enhance your connection with the person, because really and truly connection is about the other person, right? If you're able to understand what helps the other person connect. So we talked about trigger points. Understanding the trigger points of that person will really, really enhance your connection with the person, basically. So if you listen better, you're able to now pick out the key things that you can use to connect with the person.
Bridget?
So giving your undivided attention and listening to the person, it's very, very key. What we don't do is, like we said before, being on our devices and not paying attention to the person. If you pay attention to people, I have this gift of just looking at people, as in rarely taking my time to observe people. So it's a gift of observation. Some people will just put their eyes and go away. But I can assess and profile you to say, who is this person? And then look for something, like you said, a trigger to say, let's talk about X, Y, Z. So we talked about the 5 love languages. Physical touch is the last part of it. So if you want to connect at the end of the day with people, you must understand what their triggers are, just like Uthman said, and move from that point of trigger to say, okay, this is what I know this person likes, and keep paying attention to what the person likes, and keep understanding the person.
Bridget Eleshi, life interpretation coach. Very interesting conversation indeed. Communication. We have to learn to communicate. Otherwise, our messages will always be lost. Yeah. And we can't afford that in fostering good relationship, whether it's with our children or with our spouses. Thank you very much, Bridget Eleshi, life interpretation coach, and Uthman Abdurrashid, business leadership coach, who joined us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it is time for the home stretch. See you in a few minutes.